Diablo is heading east for some foul purpose, and the only passage east is through the monastery gate. Obviously, Diablo summoned Andariel to block any pursuit. For her part, Andariel hopes to win Diablo's favor. The lesser demons are always vying for positions of power within the unholy hierarchy.
This is the story of Sisters to the Slaughter, the final quest in Act 1 of Diablo 2. After completing Tools of the Trade, Deckard Cain will approach us in the rogue encampment with grim news.
It is certain that we face the Demon Queen, Andariel, who has corrupted the rogue sisterhood and defiled their ancestral monastery. This does not bode well for us, my friend. Ancient Horadric texts record that Andariel and the other lesser evils once overthrew the three prime evils, Diablo, Mephisto, and Baal, banishing them from hell to our world. Here they caused mankind untold anguish and suffering before they were finally bound within the Soul Stones. Andariel's presence here could mean that the forces of hell are once again aligned behind Diablo and his brothers. If this is true, then I fear for us all. You must kill her before the monastery becomes a permanent outpost of hell, and the way east lost forever.
And so begins our final mandate. Everything we have labored for thus far in aiding the sisters has led to this moment. Face and defeat Andariel, the Maiden of Anguish, in combat, or we will perish in a horrific manner, and our efforts will be for naught. Pushing that grim thought to the back of our mind, we decide we should speak to the denizens of the encampment for clues, perhaps for the last time. All too familiar with Anguish lately, the High Priestess Akara says,
Andariel has desecrated all we hold dear. She must not be permitted to serve Diablo. Destroy her. The corruption of our order must be undone.
Although we agree the fact Andariel was able to supplant the rogues in their own seat of power does not bode well, and we can only imagine the horrors she wrought upon the monastery. We spy Chazi, the blacksmith, over yonder, and approaching her, she solemnly declares,
"Send Andariel back to the hell she came from."
Unfortunately, Andariel may bring hell to us first. We then see Geed the merchant sweating noticeably more than usual, and he questions,
"You're going after Andariel? One of my wagon wheels is in need of repair. I'll be under the wagon if I'm needed."
I trust not even Andariel could squash this slippery gypsy in a pinch. Karsha, leader of the rogues, looking agitated, states,
"I can imagine 1,000 different ways to kill Andariel. You need only choose one."
I can only imagine the fury she feels at the thought of the anguish her sisters have suffered. We lastly see Wariv, the caravan owner, who explains our predicament in traveling west, saying,
"The map makers tell us the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Our way east is a line that runs through Andariel's stronghold, the monastery."
It seems we have no choice. If we wish to pursue Diablo, we must face, and somehow, against all odds, defeat Andariel. Our quest log guides find Andariel's lair in the monastery catacombs, and after heading back to the outer cloister, so begins our long, arduous journey through its maze-like structure. First into the jail levels, and upon entry we exclaim,
"This is no place for a warrior to die."
Although dimly lit we see the gore strewn about is more prevalent, the undead wraiths furious at their fates and choose to punish us for the tragedies they endured in life. After slogging our way through the dank jails, we spy a light at the end of the tunnel. Following it reveals stairs in the inner cloister, appearing much like the outer cloister and bringing us one step closer to the monastery. At the north end of the inner cloister, we find a once holy cathedral, now heavily desecrated, boasting a populace that consists of Wraith, the Fallen, and super unique skeleton mage Blood Ash, looking as if he's conducting his own unholy rituals in the stead of the sisters. After cleansing the cathedral, we spot some stairs leading down into the monastery itself. Upon entry, we exclaim,
There is great evil here.
Hacking our way through the denizens of the monastery, we find its fourth and final subterranean level, in which our quest updates with one final directive: kill Andariel. Before we face this foul demoness, we take a moment to portal back to the rogue encampment to complete the early return dialogue for the quest, in which Akara guides.
You have done much to help us, but I sense that this has only fueled Andariel's fury. She will not stop until we are all dead. You must kill Andariel before her army can gain the upper hand.
Time is against us, and Andariel's forces seem to gain power by the minute. As we make our way through the camp, Kasha beckons to us before we speak to the other camp folk and urges.
Deckard Cain has important information about Andariel.
So we stop by the scholar momentarily, and Cain tells us what he knows.
It is clear that Andariel is acting on behalf of Diablo to prevent anyone from following him eastward. Her defeat would allow you to continue the pursuit. Ancient lore has it that while Andariel was spawned in the burning hells, she is not fond of fire.
Our first tangible clue. Although it does seem counterintuitive, fire is our friend against this fiendish foe. Moving swiftly through the camp, we see Chazi and say,
If you are the hero that you seem to be, now is the time to prove it.
We appreciate the confidence and pray our steel lands true. Maybe for once, Geed himself has some wisdom to impart too.
Have you stumbled upon that demon queen yet? I hear she's quite the beauty. As far as Maidens of Anguish go, that is.
Geed and Andariel, the Maiden of Anguish herself, having a tumble. That is a painting I would hang on the wall. We then spy Wariv by the campfire, who leans over to us and remarks,
May I remind you that my caravan can only go east if the monastery is cleansed.
And with that, we head back through the portal into Andariel's lair. In the first room, although Andariel is rumored to hate fire, it's the first thing we feel, the heat of fire pouring forth. Blood splattered on the walls and also boiling up from the floor itself. We cautiously open the door to the next room and see more fire on the ground, as well as the fallen scattered about, except they're now called Dark Ones. There's what appears to be almost spines or tails of bone protruding from the ground and walls as if reaching up from hell itself, and rogue corpses shoved unceremoniously on spikes, as well as other unidentifiable human remains strewn about. Worse yet is the huge pool of blood filling a crater in the middle of the room with naked human bodies lobbed inside. After putting down the Dark Ones and their shaman masters, we head east through the big main doors, finding ourselves in a large hall adorned with pillars that have grown spikes and have also burst forth through its walls. The Dark Ones in this room are also stirred up in a frenzy. We clear them one by one and catch a glimpse of zombies, hoping that Andariel doesn't have a penchant for raising the dead, as her one-time puppet Bloodraven did too. It's then we're confronted by the biggest demon I've ever seen. Fear me. Female in appearance and scantily clad with hooven feet and tendrils growing from her back and hair that stands on its end. With every hooven stomp she takes towards us, the ground shakes and we back up into the former room, knowing at least there we've fully cleared it out of zombies and other perils. It's then we're forced to face Andariel in close quarters, as range isn't our strong suit, and while we successfully dodge some of the poison bolts she lobs, her casual wafting of clouds of poison are particularly vicious and hard to dodge. Having been hit with some of these clouds, we thirstily gulp potions and most of the antidotes in our inventory. Feeling nauseous and a tad overwhelmed by the attacks, we try and get a better footing and some respite from the barrage of poison, moving back into the larger hall. As Andariel is much slower to move, we have a moment to clear out the rest of the Dark Ones and shambling zombies, and finally meet Andariel in a 1v1 confrontation in front of her unholy throne. After nearly succumbing to her assaults, we successfully send the Demoness back to whence she came, the burning hells, with her anguished cry billowing through the room as it reverberates through the monastery itself, shaking its foundation. Her hated fire spewing forth as the roof looks to nearly collapse on top of us. It's then a portal opens to town.
My work here is finished.
And we're free to collect the loot of her body, including a potent crystal sword, yellow as well as yellow boots, a helm, and a choice amount of gems for socketing. Heading to the High Priestess, Akara, to advise her of the good news, she says,
Finally we may rejoice. We owe you a debt we can never repay. I only hope that in time we will be able to rebuild our order. All our thanks go with you, my friend.
And we hope the Order is one day back to its former glory. Although no doubt the unenviable task of clearing out the monastery is ahead, we wish nothing more than the rogues can soon leave this makeshift camp behind and the terrors that they had to endure. We then see Deckard Cain, who says,
This is a great victory indeed, but many more battles await. I will accompany you on your journey, lending what assistance I can. Remember, Diablo is still out there, seeking something in the desert. I'm afraid that this nightmare will not end until you find what it is that he seeks.
Heading up to the blacksmith Chazi once more, she says,
You'll probably go east now. It was good to know you. I hope you'll come back if you ever need anything.
This may be the last time we see the rogues and their encampment. Geed, who appears from his hiding spot underneath his wagon, exclaims,
I'm gonna party like it's $9.99.
But not all are in a celebratory mood. We then talk to a solemn Kasha who reflects,
Andariel's death brings about renewed life for us all. We mourn the loss of our dear sisters, but at least now we can get on with our lives. I may have misjudged you, Outlander. You are a true hero, and testament to the noble spirit which has inspired our order for generations. Farewell, my friend.
We bow our heads in remembrance of the sisters fallen and are thankful to have aided the order and humbled at Kasha's acknowledgement as a friend. We finally see Wareve by the campfire, prepping for travels, who beckons to us saying,
The caravan is prepared. We may now journey eastward to Lut Golain.
With the path clear and the townsfolk safe, we have nothing left to do but pursue Diablo, travel east with our new companions, Wareve and Deckard Cain in tow, giving the Lord of Terror himself a chase on his way to Lut Golain. But that's it for Sisters to the Slaughter and Act 1 of Diablo 2, but what did you think of the quest? Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with the upcoming lore videos out weekdays at 7 PM PST, and if you want to further the conversation, my social accounts are linked, and I'd love to chat as we have a brand new Discord to celebrate lore, and we'll be running a Diablo 4 guild in which all are welcome. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Traveler.